You're not supposed to be here. The sentence cracked through the crystal lobby like a golf club against a mirror. It was mid-morning in downtown Larchfield, inside the Halberd Crown, a hotel so expensive even its doormats had branding. 5 stars, 11 chandeliers, 0 humility. Ronald Eastman, front desk chief and self-appointed gatekeeper of the elite, stood straight behind the polished counter. Arms locked, chin tilted like he was speaking to a stain. His words were loud, intentionally so. Loud enough for the entire marble hall to hear. Loud enough to echo. The man standing in front of him? Dark-skinned, quiet confidence, wearing ash-gray travel gear, soft-soled boots, and a minimal carry-on bag with fraying corners. No Rolex, no entourage, just presence. His name? Malik Ayers. And in less than 20 minutes, he'd be the one deciding who stayed employed in this building. But right now, Malik said nothing. No expression. No defense, just calm, a man used to navigating insult with strategy. He watched Ronald like a surgeon reading a scan. Ronald smirked. Security's on their way. You can't just wander in and say you booked the Sky Suite. That's not how we do things here. The elevator paused mid-ding. A waitress froze, tray wobbling, and a young woman in a lilac hoodie, barely out of high school, slowly lifted her phone. Red light. Recording. Malik glanced around. He didn't need to read the room. He'd memorized this scene a dozen times in his life. At 28, he was mistaken for a janitor while delivering a keynote. At 35, a real estate broker refused to show him the penthouse unless he brought the actual buyer. And now, at 43, in a hotel partially funded by his own firm, he was being spoken to like a con artist. Sir, Ronald pushed again, this time projecting for drama. I'm asking you to leave before things get unpleasant. Malik's fingers never left the grip of his bag. He didn't wave an ID, didn't pull up an app. He didn't need proof. He was the proof. Just before all this, Malik had walked in without an announcement. No doorman call, no curbside drop-off. Just entered like a person would, quiet, clean, direct. And that was the problem. He walked into wealth with no signal of wealth. That made Ronald itch. It threatened the order he had built in his head. The order where certain people belonged and others had to prove they did. I'm checking in. Malik Ayers. Reserved under corporate priority. Ronald pretended to type. You're saying you booked the suite? That's right. A pause. I'll need ID and the payment method. Malik handed both over smoothly, as if he'd done this 1,000 times. Ronald held them like they were radioactive. Glanced at the name, then at the man. Then back at the card. Click. Something in him clicked. The wrong thing. Ronald tapped, frowned, tapped again. Then subtly leaned toward Kayla, a junior desk agent nearby. Barely 21. Eyes darting. Frozen in place. Another one claiming the Sky Suite. He whispered, like it was code for trespasser. Malik didn't flinch. Assigned by whom? No idea. Maybe you read it wrong. Malik had heard that before. Maybe you read it wrong. The phrase followed him like shadow. It came when he applied for executive coaching scholarships, when he was told the reserve table was already taken. He exhaled, measured. I booked this under corporate executive tier. My name should be listed. Ronald didn't even pretend to check. He returned the ID with a shove. There's been an issue verifying that. I'm going to need you to wait over there. He motioned to a cramped bench next to the gift shop, where families with backpacks sat waiting for airport shuttles. People were watching now. Someone by the water station whispered, "What's going on?" Ronald raised his voice just enough. "Sir, I said step aside." Malik didn't move. He just looked at him. "You sure you want to do this? You think this is about your background?" Ronald scoffed. "I'm not thinking anything. I'm standing here. You're the one playing a role." That's when Kayla looked up. Her eyes said it all. She'd seen Malik's name in the VIP system earlier that morning. And now, she was watching her boss build a bonfire around his own career. Ronald picked up the house phone. Lobby needs security. Potential fraudulent booking. Not protocol. Not procedure. Just performance. Malik glanced at his phone. Tapped the screen once. Put it back. That's when Jared, the hotel security man, entered the frame. Thick shoulders. Mid-40s. The kind of walk that said I've seen worse. Ronald gestured. That's him. Jared walked over. Sir, I'm going to need you to move. Malik didn't. You treating me like a threat? No one said threat. We just want me to comply, without asking why. Click. A guest camera captured the moment. No shouting, just clarity. Then the girl in the lilac hoodie raised her voice. He gave his ID. They didn't even check. Another guest muttered, "He hasn't said a word wrong." "Sir," Jared said again. "Please." Malik took a step, not back, forward. "You're calling security on someone with verified credentials who stood here silent. That's the story you're writing." Ronald exploded. "He's faking this." Malik turned to Kayla. "Calm. Did you see my name in the system?" She froze. "Yes. This morning. VIP executive tier." Silence spread like floodwater. Ronald's confidence slipped. "She's just a trainee," he spat. It didn't matter. The truth was out. And then Youssef, another employee, quietly checked the system. Malik's name. Top-tier booking. 3 nights. Paid in full. The lobby changed shape. Guests didn't just watch, they witnessed. Rebecca Langford, the director of guest experience, swept into the lobby like she was above it all. "What's going on?" she asked. Ronald pointed. "This man's creating disruption." Rebecca didn't check a single fact. She turned to Malik. "You're making people uncomfortable. I'm going to have to ask you to leave." Malik didn't budge, but Youssef did. He stood and said it clear. "He's on the list. I verified it. Top clearance." "You don't get to speak," Rebecca snapped. "I do," he replied. "Because facts matter." Another voice, older, firm, came from the corner. "I manage high-risk operations for a living," said the man in a navy suit. "And what you just did, that's not customer service. That's discrimination." The air changed again. Then Malik pulled out his phone, tapped a single button. "Yes, Mr. Ayers," came a female voice. "Activate Protocol 7. A beep. "Audit initiated." Rebecca's eyes narrowed. "What protocol?" Malik looked directly at her. "The one that logs and archives every staff action in real time, especially the biased ones." A wave passed through the staff. The screen behind Kayla flickered red. "System override. Ayers Corp back-end architecture active." "You can't do that," Ronald choked out. "Already did," Malik said. And then he walked around the desk, phone still on speaker. The voice continued. Ronald Eastman flagged. Rebecca Langford flagged. Unlawful denial of service. Guest mistreatment. Property tampering. Malik glanced at the security guard. "Still want to remove me?" Jared shook his head. "No, sir." Malik turned to Rebecca. "This building runs on infrastructure owned by Ayers Corp. Your system, your compliance, your future, it's all on my network." Rebecca took a step back. Carla's voice again. "Initiating termination process. Access badges revoke in 60 seconds." Ronald lunged for the terminal. "You can't just." "Access denied." Red screen. "You don't have the power," he barked. Malik smiled. "I built the power." The glass doors slid open. 2 corporate compliance officers entered. Earpieces in. "Calm." One turned to Ronald. "You'll be escorted now," Rebecca whispered. "You could have just walked away. And let you learn nothing." Malik's voice cut like truth through velvet. "This wasn't about my identity. It was about yours." The crowd fell silent. Kayla stepped from behind the desk. "I don't want to keep my job. I want to do the right thing." Youssef followed. "I'd like to be transferred to his team." Malik nodded once. As Ronald and Rebecca were escorted out, silent, shamed, Malik stepped to the front desk. He didn't sit. He didn't gloat. He simply placed both hands on the marble. Steady. Present. Then he turned to the elevator. Alone. Seen. As the doors slid shut, the weight of what had just happened settled across the lobby. Not as drama, but as a shift. Outside, a black car waited at the curb. No fanfare. Malik stepped in without a word. Inside the hotel, someone whispered they didn't hear him because he shouted. They heard him because he didn't have to. Power doesn't always arrive with noise. Sometimes it enters quietly, challenges bias without raising a voice, and rewrites the rules in full view. Malik Ayers didn't demand respect. He commanded it through truth, restraint, and presence. In a world eager to judge by appearance, he showed what real authority looks like when it's earned, not assumed. As the doors closed behind him, the message was clear. Respect isn't granted by status. It's exposed by how you treat those you underestimate. And in that lobby, for everyone watching, the silence Malik left behind spoke louder than any confrontation ever could.